Hey folks, welcome to F1 Fan Fiction. We are your hosts. I am Akash.
And I'm Sarang.
We come to you mid-season for a different kind of a banter. What you're gonna listen to over the next week are gonna be two drops of five liveries that I've released in each section. So you're gonna listen to five liveries episode once, and then another five at the end of the week. Getting into it. Before we talk about the season and the liveries that have popped up, Sarang, how do the cars look to you in general?
Man, I was a bit skeptical looking at the model car that Formula One had made back last year sometime, right?
Yeah.
Because it looked very toyish, right? For some reason, like especially the car was not to scale as well. It was a little smaller as well. But man, these cars blew me away. They really look
Yeah.
so awesome, right?
Yeah. FIA has tried this years and years over again, where they've tried to showcase a car that's going to come next year, which is going to be such a good racing car. And then all of these aero engineers and techies make it more suited for like fast and durable, whatever, and just loses the charm. But yes, you're on point.
Yeah.
This year, it looks so sleek, and it's like, oh, this is what a race car should be.
You remember, right? Like that infamous Dick knows that. I don't know who had come up with, but yeah, I mean that's what happens, right? Like whenever these regulations are made, all these engineers just sit and try to poke holes in them and try to find those loopholes to gain those advantages. And I'm not entirely convinced that these are the cars which are going to be there on the first race, but we'll see in due time who comes up with some real weird uh, oddities.
True. Some good ones that at least stood out for me were, your front wing is limited to 4 full span elements only.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tinker around there much that we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
There's some regulations coming in for the bendy wings nonsense that we've seen throughout the season last year. Powerful rear wing which retains that DRS for slipstream.
Yeah. And the most important thing, a lot better aero in general, right?
Yeah.
Because since the aero in general is simplified, the vortices which used to be created used to create a lot of issues for the car following, and I'm hoping that this really improves racing. And that's what really it's intended for. So yeah, let's see.
True. Tighter mid-pack. That's the interesting part, right? Like most of these teams, who've at least so far released their liveries, as of this recording, there's 5 that have released. We wait for Williams today, but the intent being mid-pack becomes tighter. Every team so far is saying we're going to rule the mid-pack. Now, there can only be one ruler on the mid-pack. So, and to that point even has, but we'll come to each team later. But that's going to be interesting. Fair point.
Yeah, right.
What else stands out for you?
I think another thing which really stands out is the wheels. I mean, 18-inch wheels. Looks awesome, man. I was skeptical how it would look, but those thick tires look, I mean, not thick tires, rather thick rims look really good.
What's up with that actually? Like, is this a stock or just a digitalization or a concept phase where they're also covering the rims, or is it going to be like a flat disc ring so that you can't even see the brakes, or what's happening there?
I think so. My understanding is basically the covers on the rims are twofold. Like the use of them is twofold. One is that it improves the aero because like less sort of your air is interacting with the spokes of the wheel and it's not getting disturbed anymore. Again, going back to not creating those vortices which create those drag in the car behind. So I think it's in that foot, as well as if you have noticed, like a lot of these rims have like LED strips kind of in there. And it's rumored that they were testing this sometime back with McLaren. I think they are going to test this even during the season sometime. And I guess they want to display some information there starting next year, something like that. That's what I've heard.
Interesting. Yeah, if they do end up doing that, then I'd be curious on how brake cooling works, because if the outers are shut, What's the air intake for brake cooling? The other interesting part for me, at least, is like there's a concept of having big tunnels under the car, which ends up creating like lots of downforce this time.
Mhm.
I think that's going to sit in tandem with some of the suspension regulations that have come in place,
Mhm.
which you can't use to push your car a bit more down. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be
Yeah, right. It's interesting all around. I mean, rightly as you said about the aero changing and especially the ground effect, right? Like that's
yeah.
what it's all about this time. And uh earlier, like I think F1 had tried to bring in ground effect long ago, if I remember. But I think back then, like the cars weren't the bodies of the cars weren't as strong. Like the materials that are used currently, carbon fiber, which is really strong. So earlier they didn't have the right material. So a lot of times what used to happen is that if you would like lose even like one skirting, your car would be super unstable. So basically, I think now it's the right time where they can reuse these methods to improve downforce without disturbing the air much for the car behind.
Well, all in all, a slicker looking car, a faster car, which on paper and now with some of the designs out does feel like is gonna tighter the mid pack and bring the cars closer. But it could also end up meaning that I think David Coulthard or Paul de Resta said that while the first few races might seem things are close enough, towards the end of the season we'll again see like two or three teams emerging out of nowhere or just being the way they are. All in all, it's going to be an interesting season. Stay tuned for some more bites coming your way with individual libraries that we poke into. Thanks, folks.
Bye bye.